Those of you who obviously have been paying attention over the past few days, Nick Shirley is the young whippersnapper of an investigative reporter who somehow stumbled upon this expose of sorts that took place in Minneapolis, accusing the Somali community of basically stealing money from the government hand over fist. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do this in multiple parts because this is an expose. And I have some interesting stuff to share. So the daycare story. How did this come about? Why is this become a central focus? Jen, can you kind of tee this up in terms of why there is this, let's just say, disdain for the Somali people?
You mean why what's going on in Minnesota is you mean here, the Somali people, or the people in Somalia?
No, the people in Minnesota, like why this is.
Okay, so I don't know why, what the story is amongst the Minnesotans in the area. I guess they're in the Minneapolis area and what that is there. But Minnesota was a state that allowed in a lot of refugees right around, it was like a few-year period. It was when Ilhan's family came here as well. And they were allowing in a lot of people, and there was opportunities there for people to come over here that had come out of refugee camps and start over there. And so there was opportunity there. And other than that, and the fact that Ilhan represents a very large Somali community, I don't know about the issue there with the Somalis. Well, I don't know.
The one thing I will say, and I'm sure there are people that support Nick Shirley and his efforts in the chat. I want to be very clear about this. There is no question that on the surface, in terms of what he uncovered, there is definitely truth to it because this case has been addressed before, that there have been these fraud cases. Now, what is also painfully clear is that they are targeting Somalis on purpose because there's a lot of other people that commit fraud. Let's put it that way. But here's the appetizer, if you will.
Okay.
This is what Nick Shirley apparently uncovered in Minneapolis.
Middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which has its license for 74 kids, was paid $1.26 million in tax money. And there are no kids. And all the facilities are the same way, all of them.
Let's see if anyone opens.
Yeah, let's see.
I have so many problems already. I have problems already, and I'm going to tell you why I have problems, okay? Confronting, this is how this should read. And I want everybody to be very clear about this, is again, from a journalist perspective. What you're looking at should say, confronting a $1.26 million fraudulent daycare center in Minnesota. That's all that needs to be said. The fact that they feel the need to put Somali in there. Now, think about this for a second. Let's say this happened in an Irish neighborhood on the south side of Boston or wherever. It wouldn't say confronting a 1.26 million fraudulent Irish daycare center in Minnesota or in Boston, right? Or wherever. Yep. So that's a very purposeful thing. And I'm really wanting people to develop better media literacy. And this is one of those things. So why is that even relevant to the story in any way? The story is about a fraud using a daycare. I know people that use a lot of things as fronts for frauds. Where we are in South Florida, it's common. Oh, yeah. So it isn't that I don't believe there was a fraud using a daycare. I 1,000% believe there was. And I even would believe that they could be Somali people involved. It's a Somali area. There's criminals all around us.
100%.
But why is that there? It wouldn't be there for any other thing. That's all I wanted to point out.
For my son Joey, and they would not open the door.
I want to put my son Joey in daycare because I need.
First of all, there is no excuse for lying. This kid is 23 years old saying, I want to put my son Joey in daycare. He doesn't have a son.
And he looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, really, come on. Let's just be real.
A spot to put my son Joey.
Yes.
Is this your daycare center?
No, I work there. What's happened?
I just want to put a child in daycare, but all the daycare centers seem to be closed. No one's opening the doors.
Why does he have a cameraman following him around filming this?
And by the way, I, as somebody who had 2 kids in different schools and daycares and stuff like that, you're not allowed to just walk in with a camera. That's not how that works. You're not allowed to walk in and have a camera behind you. And again, I am getting a very much a plant vibe from this guy. I don't know of him. This is my first time seeing any of this. The way he's doing this, the way his dialogue is, all of it speaks that I don't know whether he, as someone in the chat said, he's a Fed. I don't know who he's working for or who's paying him to create this narrative, but it is not organic and it is very biased. So and again, there very well could be Somali people involved in some sort of fraudulent daycare scheme. But if you want to start picking away at fraudulent schemes,
people generally tell on themselves.
Interesting.
We'll play, like I said, there's a lot to this, so hang in there.
You work here?
I was, yeah. What's happened?
Where are the kids?
Yeah?
It says it's licensed for 74 children. Right here, state of Minnesota. Where are the kids? They got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When?
Where are the kids? Right here. State of Minnesota website. You work here and you don't know?
I don't know. I was there before. I don't know what's going on.
Do you think they're going around to all daycare centers in the city with the fiscal budgets that were allocated to them and confronting them? Because I have a feeling it's just this one. And why is it just this one? It can't be because it's the only thing that's remotely suspect in all of Minnesota that you or that you wouldn't check.
Well, this is the rub about this particular story so far, is that there has been fraud that has been caught. This isn't a new story. This is a story that has been going on for at least, I believe, since the pandemic. So this is something that traces back several years. I said from the very beginning, he's not wrong in that there has been fraud, but what is the purpose of this?
Why are they singling out this particular one? It's not like there's some crackdown across the area on frauds.
Sure. Yeah, there's a distraction racket that's going on, I think is a big part of this.
What's going on?
Were there any kids when you worked here?
He's there. Kids there.
How many?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
You worked here. Okay, well, then you're not of any help.
Can I put my son in a daycare here?
No, I don't know.
Can I speak to someone?
No, I don't know.
No? Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
No!
Do you put your kid here in this daycare?
No.
There is one child in there. Yeah, I'd like to know if this is a legit business.
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
Because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. Does that make you a racist?
Yeah, no.
But
no.
You said you're scared.
I can't watch this guy anymore. That's just, he's an idiot. He's an idiot. A Black Somali immigrant woman being threatened by a white guy is racist? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think so. That's called empirical evidence-based reaction, okay? This guy is completely full of shit. His body language, I don't know what, again, this is the first time I'm hearing about him. This whole thing speaks like Zio-related setup bullshit to me, the entire operation of this.
Yeah. So we're going to get to that shortly. We'll finish it up.
Because of my color.
I'm not saying you're racist.
You said you're scared of me because of my color. That makes you a racist. So right now, they're all getting mad because he's showing the paperwork of this business being registered as a business. 74 children, no children. We saw one child when the lady opened up the door. So now they're all getting mad.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Ask the owner and the kids.
Well, then why are you talking for the owner if you're telling me to talk to the owner?
I'm sorry. I'm not understand what you're talking about.
Do you have a child here?
No.
Does anybody?
No.
Where are the 74 kids? Did you lose them? Did you lose these kids? Do I need to call someone? Do I need to issue an Amber Alert for missing children? Are these children missing? It's not my business that children are missing. 74 infants and toddlers, preschool.
The proof's right there. There's no children anywhere.
It's from the state of Minnesota right here.
And click right here.
This right here, what you're watching is a demonstration in caucasity. These two guys are harassing a couple of women that are not the owners, Okay. So why they're standing there harassing these women and asking them questions while filming them without permission to film them is so, it's so unprofessional. It's just slimy. It's very like low hanging fruit, and there's no real investigative anything. So they found a public record and they're just standing in front of that and harassing people that are not in charge of it. That's not journalism. That's like, I mean, it's pre-clickbait because it's just really cheap shots, and yeah, it's pathetic actually. And he looks pathetic. And again, that's not to say that there isn't some sort of fraudulent operation happening there. Correct. But if you're not coming up with something where there's children being hurt there, then shut up. Go away.
Now here's
prioritize.
Now here's where you know that there's now again, I see all people in here defending Nick Shirley. Now we're going to turn the tables, and we're going to explain to you why this is all one big setup and one big scam.
I don't see anybody defending. I don't know this guy is at all. It's my first time hearing of him.
Okay. So here's one example of how we know for a fact that this is a scam and how this is a political psy-op of the highest order. Trump administration freezes child care funds in Minnesota after claims of fraud. So because of this one particular story, Minnesota, all child care funds in the entire state of Minnesota have now been froze. You explain to me how that makes any sense. Why are you doing that? Why are you specifically targeting either Somalians or the whole state? You explain to me how there's any logic behind this. This is all politically motivated.
Exactly. Now, for the same reason they very intentionally said it was Somali, because really that's not relevant to the story at all, is it? The fraud is the fraud, right? Again, like the fact that who owned it, you wouldn't say that for anything else. So I think that's very clear that the narrative is to create an anti-Somali sentiment. And that is why this particular situation has been highlighted. Again, I'm not discounting fraud and going after fraud, but that needs to be done by actual investigators. And there's actually fraud crime units that's their job to do it. What this guy is doing is just trying to get clicks and harass people. So if you want to talk about what's being done literally to go after them in terms of a real investigation, that's worth discussing. But then you would be interviewing the officers that are investigating the case, and you would be doing a legitimate research. He's not. They're standing there with a public record in front of a place and harassing people. That's not an investigation into fraud. So I don't have a problem with people investigating fraud. This is a narrative change, and to also simultaneously create a negative stereotype regarding Somalians.
Well, and not only that, but it's like if you guys are going after, let's say, Tim Walz, for example, you really think Tim Walz is a threat to be president of the United States? I mean, I understand that you want to cut him off at the knees, and I don't have any love for the guy, but I mean, let's just be real. The guy's not going anywhere. He's not doing anything. And so okay, why is my Irish friend being unsubbed and goodbye? What they do? I want to know right now what my Irish person did. So Brett, I need to know what they did.
They were probably Jew bashing. Well, that's usually what it is.
What Irish people do.
No, it's not. And when you're talking about that, it's been going on for years and their AG is letting it. I believe that. Pick a state and go look at what the AGs are permitting. People in Flint, Michigan still don't have clean water. It's been being covered up since 2014, and nobody's been in trouble for that either. So if you ask me what's the greater harm, and we start really going after those crimes, then I would care a lot more about this one particular fraud.
Yes, I agree. And this is, again, why I think the targeting of the Somalis is a political, it's an operation. But I will say this. You want proof that this guy is a scam, that Nick Shirley's a scam? I'm going to prove it right now. So whether you people are paying attention to this story or not, probably not, because this seemed to have flown under the radar. Base creator coin experiment meets resistance after Nick Shirley launch. You mean to tell me that after this story, he launched a meme coin? Yes, he did. Coinbase and Ethereum Layer 2 base are drawing pushback from traders and builders who argue that its creator token experiment failed to turn a viral social media moment into sustained on-chain activity. The backlash came after YouTuber Nick Shirley launched a token on creator platform Zora. Shirley's token briefly rode his online fame to about a 9 million fully diluted value before sliding to 3 million. Most of the volume came from existing traders rather than new users. In a widely shared critique, trader and content creator, not Thread guy, argued that if Shirley couldn't make the model work, nobody could. Why are you creating a meme coin? Why are you trying to do a pump and dump scheme? I thought you were a journalist. I thought for certain that this guy was an investigative reporter who's trying to expose the Somali conspiracy of Minnesota and all the terrible things that they're doing. Now, again, it's no surprise to me that there are certain Somalis that are criminals, like every culture in the United States.
I want to address this. We're not attacking his character. He's demonstrating his character by his behavior and his actions. Travers, I don't think people don't have a right to film in a public place, but harassing workers that are not in charge by sticking a camera in their face when they're clearly very uncomfortable isn't investigative reporting when they're not anybody with authority. That doesn't do anything. Yeah, it's very frustrating because it's like, you need to understand it isn't that we don't think that this matters. It's just that if you watch how it's being manipulated for a particular purpose to serve a particular narrative, this is about having media literacy and really being able to see how you're being manipulated. It isn't that it didn't happen. It's that, but why are we hearing about it now and in what context?
Again, I don't care if people film, but there is a difference between filming and harassing. There's no question that people were being harassed. I mean,
correct.
what answers, again, ladies and gentlemen who are supporting Nick Shirley, do you really think that these, again, probably slightly higher than minimum wage workers that are working in a daycare, you really think they have a fucking idea as to what the finances are of this particular location? Like they know what the hell's going on? I mean, come on. Like just use a little common sense. And I will ask you to use a little bit more common sense. Do you really think that a person who starts a meme coin within less than 24 hours of going viral because Elon decided to boost this story to the moon, that all of a sudden it isn't a scam of some kind? Why don't I take this a step further to prove that it is? The very first podcast, yes, Nick Shirley has already gone on a major podcast. He did it today. Would you care to guess which one he decided to go on? He went on Patrick Bet David's podcast in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, because of course he did. Because where else would a person like that go? A place where he can boost his profile and make more money. That's the point. That's why he's doing this.
Yeah, this isn't about getting to the bottom of something or protecting people. Again, I would urge people, okay, to look at the timing of this, the reasoning of this, and how they're going about it as to what the purpose is. It isn't about him getting to bottom of investigation. Any reporter is not going to stand in front and harass a worker person about the finances of the company and think that that's somehow journalism. That's not journalism. That's basically grandstanding. And doing it with the camera on, there's no purpose. Now, if you get the owner who has the authority and you've got the camera on, yeah, you're putting them on the spot. That I can understand, but that they weren't doing that. So that, to me, that's not journalism. That's sensationalism. That's crap.
If there ever was a time that these content coins, again, this sounds like NFTs all over again. If ever there was a time that these content coins, these creator coins were going to work, it was Nick Shirley right here, right now, in this moment, and it didn't work. Well, it's not really a question of whether it worked or not. It's a question of whether or not whoever created them was able to scoop a nice chunk of money before the bottom fell out, and it only takes a few hours. And the fact that it happened within a few hours, do you mean to tell me, guys, especially those that are supporters, do you really think for one single solitary second, two things? Do you really think somebody who goes on the PBD podcast, and do you really think somebody who launches a meme coin in what was clearly a pump and dump scheme, that this is not a setup, that this is not a scam? And this, again, doesn't stop the fact that there is very evidently criminal behavior that took place in parts of Minneapolis. But they want to get rid of all Somalis in this country. This is a Somali problem.
Are you both witch hunting the messenger or bullying him rather than appreciating his courage? We cover more whistleblowers on this channel than you could probably wrap your head around. In fact, we have our friend Anthony Aguilar in the chat. So no, this isn't some witch hunting a messenger thing. And also the person who thinks that somehow we're jealous. Now that's just silly.
Yeah.
Really.
And I also want,
it's silly.
And if I have to take this one step further, which I'm going to do, just to bury him where he stands, because it's obvious what this is. I came across this clip by doing a little research, and I'm sure none of you have seen this. Jen.
Yes.
It has to be very hard to get into Gaza, right? You would think that it would be probably pretty difficult, you know.
Well, I mean, if you want to help anybody, yeah, you can't go in there.
Okay. So apparently little Nick Shirley, earlier in 20, I got to say, I'm saying earlier this year. No, about 10 months ago, at the beginning of 2025, apparently was able to get an interview with the last mayor of Gaza.
Oh, we got to a point where there's so much hatred in between one group versus the other, when it's just people that are literally living on the other side of the road.
They are living in different territory. They are living in different land, under different reality. I used to be there. I was part of the occupation. Okay, I was the mayor. I was the mayor there for what? To serve them. I created jobs for them. We were blamed during the years that we are not a democracy because we are occupiers. Okay, so what we did is we implemented Oslo. So they will be ruled by a different entity, not by us. And yes, the PA came there, Yasser Arafat came there, they took over it, and it came out worse. And then Hamas took it, and it became way worse than that.
This is just Hasbara. That's all this is. This is basically a Hasbara piece. He's talking with, and the person that he's talking, whoever was the mayor of Gaza, and where are they now? Where are they in Gaza?
That's where it was being, my understanding is that it was being filmed. If it wasn't well, I can't say I know it was in Israel. I know he was in Israel.
First of all, I've never heard of this person till today. I'm just coming in this completely unbiased and looking at the quality of what I would consider shitty ass journalism. I don't know him. I'm not jealous of him. He seems like a tool that's being used by the ZIOs. That's all it is. I don't give a shit. It's
gonzo journalism. It's gotcha journalism. And in this case, he's interviewing somebody who clearly they set up for him to speak to.
Of course.
The last, he's in fucking Israel. Are you kidding me?
You know what? Yes, I am attacking his character. He's a piece of shit. He has
no character. He's
a piece of shit. He's working for ZIO genocidal tools. So fuck him.
And Smokey, let me make one thing very clear to you, okay? Whether you think this guy is some innovative journalist or not, you know how I can prove to you that he has no integrity and that he has no character? He started a pump and dump meme coin scheme within 24 hours of doing this. You know what happens when you start a coin?
The topic of fraud. So this is the portion. So
hold on, time out, Jen. Time out.
Yeah.
So basically, what this guy just did was tell on himself. He exposes a fraud of 1.26 million. They say it's 110 million over several years and several businesses. This guy just started a meme coin, boosted it up within a few hours to $9 million, and then magically it dropped all the way down to 3 million. You know why? Because it's a pump and dump scheme, because somebody went in there, grabbed their loot, and got the fuck out. That's how it works. So don't you ever say that Nick Shirley has integrity, because he doesn't, because he attached his name to this shit. And if you think he's not in on it, need I point out to you that the very first major podcast that he goes on is the PBD podcast. He goes on with Patrick fucking Pyramid Scheme David, Patrick Bet Star of David. That's who he goes on with. Come on.
So he's just completely not a credible person. So when you want to know if I'm looking at someone's character, to the extent that somebody projects themselves as a journalist or a truth teller. So for example, I know Jordan Cheriton. I know him personally. I know that he has amazingly impeccable character and is a very honest person and is in this for the right reasons. And that actually does impact the quality of his journalism, right? So when you have somebody of poor moral character and they're supposedly reporting truth, but they're cherry picking based on whoever is sponsoring them, which in this guy's case is clearly ZIOS, then that is not somebody of good character. And it is sure as hell not somebody that's a good journalist. So there's that.
Let's hear how much more Hasbro they have to spew.
And then ISIS entered Gaza. You know, one of the things that I want to be clear about is the evolution of evil. Because when people say Hamas is ISIS, they flatter Hamas. It's a compliment.
They flatter ISIS or Hamas?
Hamas. It's a compliment to Hamas. What happened to them is that they are an entity worse than ISIS.
Hamas is worse than ISIS.
Yeah.
If that's not Hasbro, I don't know what is.
This guy is a plant. He's one of the people that when we talk about Palestinians, that they're like the capo Jews. It's what he's a capo. That's what I would have been called. Like, that's what we would have been called if you're the ones that stand against your own and help the oppressor against your own people. He is just a tool.
Yeah.
That's it. That's who gets put in those positions
And
in occupied places. The people that gets put in positions in occupied places are tools.
The result of Nick Shirley amplification is defending all daycare in U.S.
They mean defunding.
Defunding
daycare in the U.S. Correct. That's correct.
Because even ISIS in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Idlib, they raped women. We know that. But not 25 terrorists on one woman. They raped women. We know that. Yeah. But they didn't cut the breast and played football with the breast that they cut. They raped women.
Now, let's assume that there's any truth to what this guy's saying and that Nick Shirley was the, maestro of investigative journalists. He's not asking any questions. He's not coming prepared with any rebuttals. This guy,
if he were a real journalist, they wouldn't have let him in.
Correct.
If the only reason he's allowed there is because he's not a journalist, he's a tool. That's
correct. What other possibility? How in God's name could a kid with no reputable agency behind him? He's not working for Drop Site News. He's not working for any of these organizations.
He's working for Larry Ellison.
Listen, he's working for Elon Musk. We know that much because Elon is boosting him. He is giving 100 million views for what this guy put out there. Of all the stories going on right now, and this is the one that he gets. Why? Why would this guy get it? Like I said, this is not to absolve people who have committed fraud.
No.
This is a clear-cut example of a psy-op.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that Nick Shirley doesn't have some talent, but let me tell you, I watched several of his interviews over the past day.
I'm sorry to hear that. My sympathy to you.
He's not that talented.
And let me tell you, from what I've seen, and again, this is the first time, not impressed, certainly will not be looking further into his investigative reporting.
We know that. But they kept her alive later on. Or they killed her with a bullet in the head and not the bullet between her legs. Or we found her with open legs burned. They killed we've seen executions that they succeeded to cut the head of somebody, but they never cooked a baby in an oven. Okay, that's the difference. So when you say they are ISIS, you flatter them.
So basically, what this guy's doing is getting in front of the camera and preaching October 7th Hasbro. This is the last mayor of Gaza, last mayor of supposedly was somebody who supported the Palestinian people, right? Yeah. Okay. So no pushback saying, well, you know, we've heard some really bad stories about the IDF and the things that they're doing. Yeah, nothing. He has nothing to say.
If this guy, but if this guy, this former mayor, was actually somebody that was part of the resistance and was part of fighting for his fellow Palestinian people, he would have never been able to be the mayor.
No, definitely not. So now you have seen, and we will run this through, you have seen that Nick Shirley is aiding and abetting the Zio state. That's what this is. This is stenography. This is not journalism.
They are more evil than the devil. And I'm not a guy that you can blame historically that I have something against them. I was the mayor of Gaza. I'm the only IDF officer that they honored me and they named a kid after me.
Did I hear that correctly? Let's play that one more time.
Wow.
Just so in case you didn't hear what he said.
Gaza. I'm the only IDF officer that they honored me and they named a kid after me. It's an honor.
So he's an IDF soldier. Oh, I had no idea.
Or is he saying an IDF soldier named their kid after him?
No, he's saying I'm an IDF soldier and someone named their kid after me. It's an honor. Yeah, it must be.
Honor. And I cannot tell you today what I feel. That I don't hate them. I just feel nothing.
And, you know, I'm sure they feel nothing for you but hatred and loathing. Because, by the way, the people in Gaza, they take care of their own traitors there.
So he's clearly, wherever this was taken, it clearly was not in Gaza because, yes, like you said, there would have been street justice for that guy. Which is
I
why
would think so.
That he does.
That's why I was asking where this is, because the people in Gaza have definitely been, they know who the people are that have been working against them and working for their oppressor.
Do we hate the IDF? That's a good question.
Well, first of all, we call them the IOF because they're they're occupation forces. They're not defensive forces. They don't defend anything.
Yes.
And I would say to say that we hate them is an understatement.
I can play you one more clip that basically explains.
All right. Are we going to be done with Nick Shirley, though? Because I think we can move on from this. No?
Well, we can. The one thing that I wanted to point out was that there apparently is a video that I saw from Adam Media, who I happen to like. He does a good job. And essentially what it proves is CBS News Minnesota blows up Nick Shirley's fraud story. So it's a quick clip, but I think this will.
Wait, who brings it up?
CBS News Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
This is ABC Learning Center in Minneapolis.
They have to learn ABC and numbers.
Director Ahmed Hassan gave WCCO a tour after finding his daycare in the national spotlight.
All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center.
In a now viral video, right-wing YouTuber Nick Shirley claims nearly a dozen daycare centers in Minnesota are taking public funds but not providing a service. He says ABC Learning Center is one of them, knocking on the door in mid-December.
I would like to check a child in the daycare.
Hassan says his employee didn't respond because Shirley was in a group of about 8 people, and his staff were concerned about recent ICE activity.
Is this daycare committing fraud?
No, we're not committing fraud.
Hassan showed us security footage from the same day Shirley was here. According to the timestamps in the videos, this woman takes a young child into the center at around 9 a.m. that day, about 3 hours before Shirley arrives at the door closer to the street. Within the hour after Shirley leaves, a woman arrives at the other door with a stroller. A larger family heads inside a few hours later. Tuesday afternoon, WCCO found at least a dozen children at ABC Learning Center, which is licensed with the state. Records show Minnesota officials last visited the daycare in November, noting some corrected and ongoing violations related to day-to-day operations, but no record of fraud.
What did I do? I'm just a typical human being who wants to live and do the right thing. I have kids to feed.
Umi Hassan, the daycare's current owner, believes these latest fraud accusations are political. Both she and Hassan are Somali Americans.
We pay our taxes. We do whatever we can to be a law-abiding citizen. At the same time, when one Somali does something wrong, we all get collective punishment.
With Shirley's...
And that's it. Collective punishment because they're Somali.
And again, this whole method of investigation is so unprofessional because you're hanging out outside of a daycare center where people are bringing their kids and dropping them off. And no daycare center is going to let you just hang out around their kid. Like, it's completely an inappropriate way of doing an investigation into the finances of this business, which again, I go ahead, investigate their finances. This is just sensationalism though, what he's doing here.
Video now approaching 2.3 million views on YouTube alone. They say they are getting nonstop phone calls harassing them.
I was looking for a place for my granddaughter.
With many of those calls attached to out-of-state phone numbers.
They normally say, knock, knock, we're gonna come. You're gonna arrest, something like that.
Hassan says they turned over attendance records to comply with the Department of Homeland Security request. They're now waiting to hear back. CBS News is reviewing records related to the same daycares. All but 2 have active licenses. And Aaron, while the active places have violations related to safety or staff training, there's no recorded evidence.
Exactly. There it is. No recorded evidence. I don't care if they're from another planet. Doesn't matter to me at all. I don't care where they're from. It's irrelevant.
What is an American after all?